Welcome to personality psychology. So, in this video, we are going to have a little psychology chat to introduce us to what is going to be the next few weeks of this course, which is diving into our personalities. So, to get us ready for some of the assessments that we're going to be taking, we're going to have a quick introduction lecture here to personality psychology. So, let's define personality. Personality is really three different aspects of our being in study. The first is thinking, the second is feeling, and the third is behaving. So these three aspects of who we are, what we think, how we feel, and how we act make up our personality. So when we talk about thinking from a psychological perspective, we're talking about how different people might think about the same stimulus in different ways. So, an example of this in terms of our personality would be, are you somebody that tends to focus on the positive? Or are you somebody who worries about negative outcomes? Or do you identify as a realist, somewhere in between? So you might be in the same exact situation as another person, but how you think about that situation is going to be different, and that impacts our personality. When it comes to feeling, similarly to thinking, we're talking about the differences in people's emotional responses to the same stimulus. So, how do we feel about the same experience? Likely, you, me, and the next person are going to have different feelings. Some of us feel more intensely, some of us have these rich inner emotional lives, other people are more even keeled. Maybe they're not prone to emotional swings or intensities, regardless of what it is that they're experiencing. And then the third aspect of personality is behaving. These are the differences in how people typically, not always, but typically behave. So you could think of that as somebody who tends to talk a lot versus the person that is more quiet and more introverted. These three different characteristics or different parts of our being make up our personality. It's important to note, however, that personality does not refer to people's abilities, or their physical characteristics or temporary states. So, for example, say that you are really, really good at snowboarding. Being good at snowboarding is not part of your personality. That is a physical characteristic, it's a physical ability. I might also really love to snowboard, but I'm just not as good at it as maybe you are or someone else. So, the things that we are capable of doing physically or what we're able to do not make up our personality. It may be true that the person who snowboards more often gets better and maybe they like it better because they enjoy nature more, and that could be a part of their personality. But their straight up physical ability is not part of the definition of personality. So, where does our personality come from? So, our personalities develop both from nature, from our genetics, as well as from nurture, our environment and our experiences, how we're raised, and how we're nurtured. Another important piece to note about personality is that it's stable and it is consistent. So, as we reach adolescence and mature into adulthood, our personalities really don't change all that much. Um, Situation to situation, over and over again, we will typically act in a pretty habitual way that is in alignment with our personalities. So it can be really difficult to move from one personality type to another because this really truly is who we are at our essence. So, personality is an area within psychology that is studied in depth. And one of the way that we study personality in psychology, also just for ourselves and what we're going to do in this class, is through personality assessments. There are dozens and dozens of personality assessments out there. Some are self-reported surveys, and others require observations by psychologists who are trained professionals in personality studies. In our class here, we're going to take a number of surveys that help us define our personalities and really understand ourselves better. But more importantly, and one of the main reasons that we're using personality assessments at this point in the course is that they're going to help us determine which careers best match our personalities. And a piece of that is that depending on our personality type and how we think, feel, and behave, we are going to be better suited to some work environments than others. If you're very introverted and you like to work alone, then we're going to want to avoid public speaking, perhaps, or other careers that really force us to engage with large groups of people. If you're somebody that is really into hands-on learning and exploration, we're going to want to look for careers that allow you to do so. So these personality assessments are going to help us understand ourselves better, but they're also going to help us move forward and decide how we want to act and what opportunities we want to take advantage of in the future.